Welcome back to video 16. Now let's take a look at hit reaction for the enemy so we can properly hit this guy and see him actually reacting and receiving damage. So if we go to protector enemy, let's go down to the state and first let's do the state alongside its ability. So hit state, let's take character hit state, don't mix things up, and let's take a look at hit state. Now hit state, the conditions for hit. Ignore this part, we don't need it. Okay, me having abilities. Let's add abilities. And it's a hit ability, right? You can have as many as you like. A player knock, depending on the received attack. You see, we had attack properties assigned in the trace. It can be a leap, it can be a knock, it can be thrust, it can be a regular, it can be whatever. So let's do the normal now. We don't need something big for now. Enemy hit ability. And the condition for hit is always true. So what happens once this state begins? We're getting the selected ability and running it. Is this controlled by a player? Well, we don't, so it doesn't matter. For the case of the AI, it will be true. So what happens when the ability starts? We get the montage, play the montage, and play an impact effect default. Now, let's talk about impact effects and how these are assigned. The best example would be for the sword and shield enemy. Now the sword and shield enemy, let's go to AI, data assets, sword and shield. Let me close this one and let's look for impact effects. Now impact effects are classes that you specify and you give it a specific tag. Impact effect.default, impact effect.block. Now impact effect, the regular one, you have instanced impact effects, which is also instanced, so you can modify stuff however you like. All these variables. So I have on a default physical material, I'm spawning a sound effect. This one you can skip. You can add as many as you like, you can modify this. How is it calculated or how does it do the things? You can take a look at this on your own, no problem. How is the values created, impact effect per surface? Let's take a look. It's on the plugins. Per surface, here we go. Once on impact effect property is created, we apply the visual effect, the sound effects, and apply a camera shake if there is a camera shake assigned. All this code you can modify, or you can create a new one, assign it there, and all that is completely up to you. You can use the default by some chance here. So I'm getting the impact, the regular one, the default, and I'm applying it from the base combat component. You see there's an owner defense property here. And I promise to explain how is the damage on the receiving end works, but first let's work on um, uh, the hit reactions working first, and then we can go back to the defense property. Let's finish this part and let's assign a montage because we already did the hit ability here. Let's give it a montage. Hit ability with the enemy. Now for the montages we're gonna have to create one because we did not create one for the player previously. So let's go create one. Protector, hit, root, and let's do any hit reaction in any direction. Let's go forward. Don't forget, and got an active ability. You can add rotation here if you like, all up to you. I'm gonna assign this montage and let's try. I'm gonna make him see me and then I'll attack, and you can see his damage already went down and he's reacting. What happens when hit state is done? Controlled by a player? No. Try to do turning if there is. Random boolean, either follow or try to attack back. So this is what happens. Now Let's talk about the defense property, which exists for both the player and the AI. You see a defense property for both of them. Now, this is for the player. It has nothing different from the parent. And this is the AI's version, which also has nothing different. But you can modify it if you like. Let's finish. Let's close this one. And let's take a look here. Now, we spoke about the attack being applied with a value of 10, and the example was attack power of 5, and it would be 50 and so on. Now, on the receiving end, once we process the attack property, we're going to try to apply the impact properties. Now, the impact properties, which is assigned, what do you call it, from the attack property, the impact ones, we will have a value here called received attribute modified by. Now, where is this being called from? It's gonna be called from influence attribute amount. Where is this being called from? If you go even deeper, you will find it's in here. Set defense impact values function, which is called in after we set the attack impact. Remember we were multiplying this by 50? Here, we're influencing it and saving the value. Multiplying it by 50, and then we're setting the impact values based on what does the receiving end has in mind. So we have an influence attribute amount. So for example, oh sorry, I double clicked this by mistake. Influence attribute amount is a C++ function, and you can modify this function in the child itself, which was right here. You see it? Influence attribute amount. The amount you receive, up to you what you want to do with it. I did this based on the exact same thing we had there. So you can receive, if the value is going to damage attribute.health, and you have the value here defense power, you can get the value of the defense power. Sorry, the value you get for health, which was 50 in that case, 50 divided by whatever you want to give here. Defense power, maybe divided by that value, multiply it by something. So now you can modify the attacking amount based on the attacker values, and also affected based on the receiver values. This way, you can modify whatever you like. And just like the attack property, you can modify the defense property and assign it back here. So this is for hit. What about blocking and few other things? And what about the player receiving hits? Well, let's do the player receiving hits now. And let's go to the protector here, and let's add it for the player as well. So we have hit state, character hit. The abilities will be hit ability. However, player normal hit ability. Let's take a look at this condition and let's find out. So the condition for me receiving hits, me not being invincible, that's one. You can have invincibility status anywhere in the project. You can get the combat component, modify combat status just like we showed before, or you can have it in a specific montage. Say for example I'm doing a montage, and when I do that I don't want to receive any damage. You can go to any montage you have. Is a notify state called modify, sorry, adjust, or was it called combat status, something like that. Add combat status. The status to modify, is it an add or a remove on the start? And what happens when it's over? You can flip this. You can remove this on a specific amount for a specific duration, and then re-add it back. Keep those in mind. So let me remove this one for now. And what's the second condition we have here? The receiving attack property is normal, or thrust, or a gunshot, or a normal and knock. How do I know which type? You can check the tag, or you can cast to that type. So cast to normal, attack property. Either is okay. This is one of the conditions. So we know ours from the enemy will be normal, because we gave it the same montage. And the second condition, not being on cooldown. So what's the cooldown? We have none. If you have no cooldown and you call this function, you will receive a no here. So it's false. False by not, it will be true. There's no cooldown for receiving a hit reaction. If you want to add a cooldown, do this. cooldown of 10. And don't forget to apply the cooldown at the end. So it has an apply cooldown. Make sure to connect this if you want to apply a cooldown, otherwise it will not care. So getting the montage, random pick, hit effect of a class. We already had this part, and when it's over, it's gonna go to idle. We're not going to the state here. However, you can do it with the state. Now, if you go to the state, it is state, decide next state. We were checking if it was controlled by the player. It's not. Why are we doing this? In some cases, for the player, if you want him to get a knock back, like some type of falling on the ground, and you want to go back up and so on, the state should not decide for you, but rather the ability. This is one of the conditions where the ability will decide and not the states. It depends what are you aiming at with your implementation. So let me give the same montage to the players. So we have normal hit ability here. We already have it assigned, as you can see, with those, but I don't want those. So let me pick the protector hit forward, and I'm gonna double make sure that the AI attacking animation has the trace, and it does. However, we forgot to add the trace itself to the AI. So let's take a look at the player's weapon since we added that. The weapon for the protector here, update traces. Just copy the exact same function and put it on the other weapon. This is for the AI. Update the traces. Let's add back this. Let's add this here. And remember one thing here. This was a regular for the player. Let's add one for the AI. And it hits the player and not the AI. So we have the player here. Don't make it hit the AI. Let's keep the rest the same, and let's assign this class right here. AI trace. It's using the same weapon, so it does have the sockets. So no problem here. Let's go here, equip, and I'm gonna make him hit me, and let's see what happens. The kick doesn't have a trace yet, but this one works. And as you can see, I'm already losing health. Now I'm not receiving anything. Let's take a look at my states. Idle. The trace is still not active on the kick, so let me add the one for the kick. It's gonna be a good example for the what do you call it? The other types of traces. So let me take a look here at the kick. Now the kick, we cannot use the right hand because right hand is not the one we're looking for, but we're gonna have to use a different type of a trace. Now let's use the same trace. However, I'm gonna change its tag. So set gameplay tag trace dot, and we have something called a kick. Okay, how do we get the mesh and we assign the trace on that mesh? Get the owner. You can cast a character if you like, or get the skeletal mesh component. Up to you. We know the owner is gonna be the character of the owner of the weapon, which in that case was the AI. Get the mesh. Assign it instead of this one. Now I'm gonna remove this and recreate it. And I'm gonna call it kick trace. I'm gonna copy this exactly how it is. Now let's go to the mesh, which is in this case this guy. Go to the skeleton. Go to the feet, which was the left feet, was it? What's this one? Add a socket, and let's call this the exact same one we had, kick a trace. And now let's go here and add the trace somewhere around this point. So it was a kick. This was normal. Let's keep it normal. The swing, there's no swing, so we can probably ignore this part. We can keep it right or left. So we're not taking care of the swings right now. How do I take care of the swing? This is gonna be a good showcase for you. If you go to again the sword and shield guy, because he has almost every details we need. If you look here, where is the montages? We have directions. Now these directions are not being used. I'm randomizing it from the hit ability as you saw. However, if you want to use the hit ability to have directions, the received based on the received attack property, let's go the hit ability and let's modify this part. Now I'm not gonna submit this to you guys, but I'm just gonna show you. First, you're gonna have to check if the received attack is a normal attack. If you look at the player, for example, player normal hit reaction. You see when I was checking to cast to normal here, you can add this condition here because this one has swings and you want to use these swings. So let's take a look at these things. Here in the montages, rather than playing a random one, you can add the following. You can do this. And from here you can get the swing direction. Or you can get a montage from a specific whatever. So here you can switch. Remember, you can access any function in this class. Any variable can be accessed as well. Double check the attack property that you're trying to use. So this is normal. You have different types of properties. You have leap, which has a leap power. You have uh, push. You can have thrust or a stun. You can have a stun duration here. Anything you think of. And based on the directions they are, you can specify which montage to run. So you can get the first one, which in this case, this is forward, or right, or left, or whatever. And you can choose which one to run based on the swing that you have. I'm not gonna push this, I'm just gonna revert this back. Whatever you guys do is completely up to you. And let's go back to the attack we had here. Let's keep this as right. We're gonna add a health effect here of a value of 10. Don't do the same mistake I had. This is not supposed to be here, it has to be here. So this one will be the hit, what do you call it, impact result. Now let's go here and let's double make sure he can actually hit me without any issues. I'm gonna open both of those and let's see what happens. I'm in hit, still in hit now with the kick as well. Everything is working as it should, and this is it for this one. What about the health for the AI and the player? Now we could see the player has one on top of his head, but how did that come to existence? Now if you look here, when the state of the AI goes to something like equip or hit, we're adding a component here, and this component is um, the widget component with this widget class, which is the one you can see on top of his head. Now, the value of health, you see, it has to be visual here. Now, the value of health is based on this. I'm getting the attributes component of the owner character, and the owner character is assigned here, by the way. And I'm calling a reupdate function. Reupdate is here. So on the beginning, this one will be not valid, so it won't matter. It will be invalid here, so it will hide itself. And it will call reupdate function again, and it will be valid, and it's gonna get the attributes component, which is also used here. And the attributes component is gonna get the health attribute. This is how you can get a specific attribute. Get attribute of gameplay tag. And I'm gonna bind an event on the value updated. And that function will call this one. can get here, assign, and it will already create it for you. And it's gonna set the health bar with that specific percentage. Just to be safe, I'm recalling this again, and I'm making the health bar visible. This is it for the AI. How about the player character? Now if you look here on the sword and shield, you'll see a player health value here as a variable. You see what I'm doing right here? I'm creating a player health stamina. It has 2. And from here I'm saving this value and adding it to the viewport. We can do the same for the player right now. So if you go to the player here, player weapon, and which function was it? Equip. So we'll go with the equip function. Very important, call the parent because we need all the update trace and meshes function being called. You can save this one right here. And it was also getting it at some point, so if you unequip it, you wanna remove it. So let me copy this. Equip. I'm gonna call the parent at the very end. Now if you start playing, you will see it. See in the top left? And it also has a stamina we mentioned. Now the stamina is right here, and it's getting hidden if we don't have a stamina. Let me take a look here. This is when you try to update it. We're unbinding 2 updates on the same function. You see here, this is for stamina, and this is for health. Here, the other one, I'm setting stamina to visible if you have a stamina. By default, it's not visible. Look here, it's collapsed. The health is visible all the time. Now if we play, we have health on the top. And let's go fight the AI. And let's see what happens if my health reaches 0. Let me make him stronger so he can one-shot me rather than him doing, because this is gonna take a while. So let's go here, make the value 500. Now he's not doing the regular one, instead he's kicking me. Come on, boy. There you go. Now my health is 0, but I'm not dead. We're gonna worry about death in the next video, but for now, you know that this is gonna be the exact same procedure we have been doing all along. So see you guys in the next video.